Hey guys. So, in light of our current situation with the coronavirus and the stay at home kind of situation that we're all dealing with, I wanted to share a video that I put together. It was initially for a company I do a lot of session work out of called Air Gigs. All of the topics that I'm going to be discussing in this video are taken from a blog post that I wrote entitled Experiments in Remote Survival. You can check out the article when it comes out if you go to airgigs.com and search the blog. I'll include the link in the description. I thought this might be beneficial to any of you guys out there that are trying to figure out what to do as a musician now that you can't play shows. And hopefully you can take something away from this that you can implement today. So here's part one.
Okay, so hello everybody. This is Aaron Cloutier. I am a musician, producer, songwriter, and educator, and I'm doing this video on behalf of airgigs.com. So this is taken from a blog post called Experiments in Remote Survival, what I'm doing to stay afloat as a working musician. So just to kind of preface everything, here's a brief overview. So I had just moved from New Jersey to Lanesville, Indiana after about 9 years as a full-time music instructor and doing, freelance session work sporadically. And the reason why I left was just to, reconnect with my family and kind of clear my head and get some perspective, that sort of thing. Just basically to start over and just figure out what my next step would be. Little did I know that my next step would be decided for me in the form of this global pandemic that we're all dealing with. So here are some of the ideas I'm exploring and experimenting with amidst our current situation with the coronavirus. Hopefully these tips can be of some value to you. Hopefully you can find these to be useful. But here's what I've been, toying around with, experimenting with, and implementing as I go. Some of these things I've been doing for many years already, so I kind of am working on building those up as I go. But anyway, here's the list. Number 1, have a SoundCloud page. Yes, I realize this seems like a no-brainer, but I felt it necessary to include on here, seeing as a good deal of the opportunities that I've personally encountered on air gigs were due to my music catalog on SoundCloud, of all things. For example, I actually developed a relationship with these amazing people over at a company called Carora Audio, and they specialize in guitar effects, pedals, that sort of stuff. And Walt from Carora Audio actually heard about me from, I think he saw my page on Air Gigs, but then he saw a few references on SoundCloud, and in particular, he contacted me about this stoner rock style riff that I wrote. This is a riff that I had written years ago, and it's just been sitting there up on my SoundCloud page. I wasn't thinking about it at all, but what's great is this led to a collaboration between me and Walt, where I wound up composing 3 different music clips for him, just showcasing his Spira filter modulation pedal. The idea was to create these, music clips for a series of promotional videos. On top of that, Walt was kind enough to give me a free Spirit pedal in the process. So it's kind of like he paid me for a job, he gave me a free pedal, which I love using, and it's an amazing product. And all this just because I had some piece of music just sitting up on my SoundCloud page, just kind of working for me in a sense. So what's cool is that this relationship later led to me joining forces with Carora Audio once again, writing music for another pedal that they had released called the Merlot, which is a harmonic tremolo pedal. And what was really cool is that they needed somebody to be a demonstrator during Summer NAMM in Nashville, and this was back in 2019. There are so many other benefits that I'm probably not thinking about right now, but here's just a couple to kind of give you an idea. Obviously, it doesn't have to be a SoundCloud page specifically, but just to me, the more sites that you can make your music readily available for potential clients to stream, the better. But the point is to have a catalog. If you don't have one, just start right now. Start making one right now. Okay, so topic number 2 would be remote recording and songwriting services, which is kind of obvious if you're an air gigs artist, if you're doing any kind of freelance work, but just in case, I just want to kind of put this out there as well. So for some time now, I have been experimenting with creating content centered around being a remote session musician, which I feel like I don't see too much of. And I started with behind the scenes type stuff for anybody who is interested in knowing how the sausage gets made as a freelance artist. You know what I mean? Just a lot of like behind the scenes production stuff and in the studio type stuff, you know, doing session vocals or playing guitar, writing riffs, composing, all that sort of stuff. Cult Drums 2 features our most advanced sampler engine, covering numerous round robins and velocity layers that will ensure the most realistic virtual drumming experience.
So that definitely sounds better in the headphones, but...
Drag and drop, and off you go. Tired of programming your own drum groove? That's tough. That's tricky. Tired of programming your own drum grooves? Pre-take ritual. I'm also experimenting with making my own video commercials to promote my services. I mean, it may not be a quick fix, but it's evergreen content that works for you 24 hours a day, just like having a SoundCloud page, right? If it's a YouTube video, then it can also serve as a home to all of my various artist pages and service links and anything else, you know what I mean? In addition to the aforementioned, I have been conducting a weekly discipline on Instagram where I would create a new riff, film it, transcribe it, and then just give it away for free to anybody interested. The basic idea behind that was to encourage players to take the music and do their own thing with it. I always ask that if they do, to upload a video of them playing their version of the idea and to tag me in it so we can get a dialogue going. So obviously the intent there is to kind of create some engagement and build some awareness, build an audience.
So the story behind this one is that I was working on what became a series of short 20-second clips for this company called Redwires. For those of you who don't know, they specialize in guitar cabinet impulse responses. For those of you who do not know what that means, see whatever the inserted video is here from somebody who knows about that and how to explain it much better than me. So anyway, I initially came up with this kind of faster, more like Bon Scott era style AC/DC clip, but while I was working on that one, this little guy kind of tumbled out, and to my ear, this sounds more reminiscent of the, you know, more anthemic Brian Johnson style of AC/DC. So anyway, I sent both versions to Redwires just to see, you know, which one they preferred, and they wound up liking both. So that was bonus, a little extra money that day. Excellent. Here is a reference tone that I created using Positive Grid's bias amp. And this was the exact tone that they wanted me to come up with for them to reference when they, you know, created their own sound clips. So to recreate something that sounded similar using Redwire's impulse responses, I actually started with the 1960 G12 M25 starter pack, which is a slanted 1960s Marshall stack top loaded with 4 Celestian greenbacks. By the way, you can get this starter pack by just signing up on Redwire's mailing list. These are the exact same free tones that you could get if you decide to do that. So this is what I used. All the IRs were loaded up in the Mix IR3 plugin from Redwires. For mic settings, I used an R121 aimed in a spot in between the edge and the cone as close as I could get it, along with some, you know, special EQing, and that's the sound that I got. If you are interested in learning the riff, as always, you can grab the free tabs found in the link in my bio. So if you do, let me know. Thanks, enjoy.
But even before any ideas of like building an audience, the initial inspiration of doing this weekly songwriting discipline was selfishly it was just for me. It was just basically, could I meet a deadline every week? Could I create a piece of music that was up to 60 minutes in length? And for me at the time, those seemed like totally doable things. Like that seemed like a goal that was very reasonable and highly reachable. It wasn't like this big daunting task, like write an entire song in a week. It was just write a piece of music, write a riff, write something else. And what's great is that I have developed so many different types of music as a result of this discipline, because I'm constantly like sharpening the axe, you know what I mean? Like I'm just refining my skill that much more in a way that I wouldn't normally be doing it, you know? Like when I work on like my solo project Davila, it's a completely different mindset. It's a much more personal and emotional thing. But with this kind of weekly discipline, it's just kind of like, it's very light and it's very fun, and hopefully it is inspiring. I don't know if it will be, but I hope that it will be. So with me, I don't like taking a single action unless I can see like multiple benefits from it after the fact. And this has been something that has just made a lot of sense to me. It's a weird compulsion, but I've found that it's been very rewarding.
Okay, so there's part 1. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned because tomorrow will be part 2. And I'm going to be talking about other things like live stream music performances and all that sort of stuff, but probably in a different way than most people are doing it right now. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions at all, let me know in the comments. See you tomorrow.